it's over, you kind of all go your separate ways, and you know, it doesn't. You always say, "Oh, we're going to be friends forever," but this was one of those things where, you know, I really did stay in touch with so many of the people involved, both behind and in front of the camera, and it was just a really special thing to be a part of. So, but whenever I play Oceanic Six at the concerts, or if I hear it, you know, if the kids are watching it or something, then that always brings back like a flood of memories for sure.
I bet. Those of us who've
Yeah.
had the privilege of attending your live concerts in Los Angeles or Dublin or anywhere in the world, we noticed that you use unique instruments. And is it true that you had some pieces of the airplane or pieces from the set that you integrated into the music?
Yes, I do. I'm trying to think right now if I have anything in here of that. I think it's all in the garage right now.
Got it.
I have other things here that I have on the side to show you. But yes, we used pieces of, well, what had happened was I was they were filming the pilot in Hawaii, you know, and I was just calling Brian Burke, who was the producer on the show, and I was just calling him just to say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Because we were friends, and he says, I'm walking on a beach. I'm in Hawaii. There's airplane parts everywhere, you know, and we're in the middle of filming this scene. I was like, he's describing the scene to me, and I was like, hey, could you save some of those parts and then send them back to me? So he scooped up a whole bunch of things, sent them back to me, and then we ended up using them as percussion instruments in the orchestra, which was a lot of fun to do. You know, so there's like you know, a part of the airplane, and there's all different pieces. I don't even know what they are, half of them, but just like all crazy pieces of an actual airplane that they used for the show. So, and I have a bunch of them. They're all still sitting in my garage right
Nice.
now.
Did you have occasion to visit the set very often in Hawaii?
I did. Well, I would go. We would do these PR things, and actually, when Jorge gets on, we'll talk about a little bit about some fun stuff with what we did together. But you know, you would go to these PR things for either a DVD release or whatever, and then I would hang out and just go visit the set and do that. But it was never anything I had to do because all the music was written here in L.A. and recorded here in L.A. But whenever I could, I would get over there. There. Yeah,
Hello,
yay.
Jorge. Can you hear us? Jorge, can you hear us? It says you're muted.
Hello?
Hello, welcome. How are
There
you?
we go.
Oh, good. Cool.
I like your office. How are you
Shrunken
doing?
head.
Yeah, I had to
All
move my
right.
chair around my desk because I was getting like a bunch of light coming from behind me in the window. So I was trying to get somewhere where the light was a little better.
Nice. Michael, you
I know.
look
I
like
feel
you're at a
like
bar.
with all of these Zoom meetings and everything. Yeah, that's the way I prefer it actually. This is my office actually. This is my office. It actually functions as and Jorge knows this, as both a bar and an office. So you know, it can be both.
Nice.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Jorge? You know, I'm home.
Right.
It's all good. I'm home. You know, it could be worse. It could be worse.
Well, thank you both for
So
being
what
here.
would you like to know?
Oh, well, I'll just add questions. So this is for the lost attendees, Jorge, who couldn't come to the event in 2 weeks in Hawaii. Obviously, it's a very nice treat that Kelly, the organizer, has set up for us. So thank you both so much for joining us. Fans have actually submitted questions, and I'm going to read them if you don't mind. And then, Michael, there's a lot for Jorge, but there's a lot for you as well that we're going to integrate into here. For
Are
both of
they
you,
are they
we're going to start.
currently listening live or is
They
this like
are.
record?
They're
Oh,
listening live.
No, it's live. So can I ask him questions too?
Absolutely. Do you want to start?
I don't know. I thought, Jorge, we could start with this.
Ooh.
oh yeah.
Do
That's
tell.
our
You,
that's our
well,
story.
this is yeah, this is a plastic one. So, but the good ceramic ones. Well, go ahead. You want to tell that?
That was kind of like our first bonding moment when we were at shoot the DVD
Was it like the
release
DVD?
party.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was the first DVD release.
yeah.
and we were just hanging out at the party, and we just kind of like found a table. We just kind of basically spent the whole night talking to each other and eyeing those Virgin Mary statues, being like, we should probably try and steal one, but we didn't have the nerve. And then at the end of the night, we thought, well, maybe we should wait to the end of the night. And when we finally went to go steal them, they were already stolen.
They were gone. So I had to go about and get one in a legitimate way, which I did, but it's not the ceramic one that was, they had, and they must have had like 15 or 20 of them all spread out on the different tables. And I don't know, we felt like at the time
I think
we
they were
just
actual
like,
props.
oh, no, I guess, yeah, they were. This one was one of the ones that was in the big pile of them when they used in the show, but it wasn't one of the hero ceramic ones. So, and we missed our moment. We missed our moment. That's what happens. You should act when you got to act on your instincts, and we should have just gone over and grabbed it,
Right.
but we didn't. So someone else did. Lots of other people did.
Plus, we weren't sure if there was fake heroin inside them or not, and didn't want,
Yes.
like, when Michael would be flying back, a chance that they'd be like, there's something inside this, and they break it open.
Well, this plays perfectly into a question from an attendee named Lisa B. She's asking about this story you told this story in Dublin, Michael, apparently in concert about the Virgin Mary statues. So she wants to ask Jorge and you, do either of you have memorabilia or mementos from the set of Lost that you actually have kept besides that?
I do have this. I'm sure you all know what this is, right?
Pneumatic tube?
You know, the vacuum pneumatic tube thing, the messages. This is the cover to a light from one of the cages that Sawyer and Kate and they were kept in. This is from that area. This is, so we already did that. I don't have a whole lot of prop things, but I have those, and I do have yes, they're all at arm's length. I keep them just right here, just in case I end up on a panel for Lost. You never know. I've been doing a lot of Zooms lately. And then I do when we had the finale, when we all viewed the finale together, they had these tissues that they gave everyone at the finale, which was pretty nice. And then I have one of the, obviously a bunch of scores. This was one of the scores for, what's interesting is today is exactly 10 years ago today, we recorded the final episode of Lost at the Warner Brothers scoring stage.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago today. Yeah, but it was so secret that the copyists bound both sides of the things, so I couldn't even open it. And they just labeled everything, this cue, next cue, here's another cue, here's another, because everything was always so secret on Lost. You had to hide everything.
Super secret.
Everything.
I had to buy a locking mailbox.
But it was.
Jorge, you bought a locking mailbox?
A locking mailbox?
There's a slight delay, so it's like I noticed that I'll say something and the conversation continues without me, and then all of a sudden Aaron goes, hits the brakes.
Sorry, your mailbox.
Yeah, I had to buy a locking mailbox.
Mailbox.
Because they wouldn't leave scripts at my door if I wasn't home. And so, the Teamsters would drive out and be like, oh, he wasn't home. And then they would hold on the script. And sometimes we'd get scripts really close to shooting. So we'd be like, I'd like the script as soon as I can have it. And they're like, if you can't lock your mailbox, we can't leave it at your door. So I bought this mailbox and I made a couple holes on it so I could strap it to a bench outside my door. I mean, if someone really wanted it, they could just steal the whole mailbox pretty easily. But that was my system to get around that.
Jorge, do you have any memorabilia in your house, Jorge?
Wait, did you save that mailbox?
Not in this room. That mailbox, I don't know if I still have it. I think it might be if no, I don't. I was thinking if it was in the garage, but no, I don't. I don't have it. I think I just kind of gave it away to like Goodwill or something like that. Because I mean, it's still a functioning mailbox if someone wanted it. Just it didn't really work for my house here. I'm trying to think. I mean, see if it. All right, this might be noisy and clunky, but I could go to the other room and try and show you what I did keep. Let's see.
Yeah, why not? We have time.
Let's see. Hold on, I gotta eject my hard drive
Okay.
because my computer complains when I don't do that. All right, let's see if this works.
Getting the tour.
So the people who stay in my guest room get to Lost Room. So there's like that posters there, but I have this.
The drawing.
Oh yeah.
And then I had the other one over here.
And were you given direction to draw those for the scenes?
And I got that. That's one from one of the Lost art shows.
Yeah, the ARG.
I was gonna put more Lost things in this room here. This is something that was commissioned for me. Little special original, me and Ben as we run the island, basically.
Nice.
That's basically my sentimental keeps.
That actually brings me to a good question. So someone would like to know, Jorge, Lee would like to know, what is your opinion on a Lost reboot or continuation? Would you like to see what happened when Ben, Hurley, and Walt returned to the island?
Oh, sure. I mean, I feel I have a vested interest in their story, so I wouldn't mind finding out where it went and what happened for sure.
And if there is a sequel, would you consider returning with Emerson and Malcolm David Kelly and whoever else?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to read it, I guess, but for sure. I love the chance to work with them again, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Michael, is there a certain Hurley theme that you had written? And I wanted to ask you, as you got to know the other actors and characters, did you make any tweaks to their themes as the seasons went on?
Yeah, there was always versions of the themes that would change depending on the episode because every episode had its own original score. So it was great because we were able to then develop themes and have them. But I think, the one thing that was one of the things that I love doing in concert and that I loved writing at the time was Hurley's handouts when he's handing out all the food to everyone there. That's one of I just love that scene, and I just love the, just the sort of tone of the character of Hurley, because there was always sort of this underlying all of this anxiety and everything. There was always a Zen sort of place that it wanted to get to, and I always loved playing that in the music, and because otherwise it was, the more frantic stuff was the bum 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 bum. It was a lot of this kind of stuff, but I really enjoyed the more Zen things that we got to do, and Hurley's handouts is a perfect example of that.
I have a question. When you plan like the playlist for your set list for your concert, let's say, what percentage are I have to put these in? And then what percentage are like the free form? Oh, maybe we'll do this one. Maybe we'll do that one. Because I feel there's a lot that you have to launch the boat on. I feel like every time probably.
Yeah.
You have to do that opening kind of. Yeah.
You got to do the opening. You got to do, I would say it's probably like 70%, 70% that we're like, okay, we got to do these. And then maybe 30% is the one we play with. And it's always different because depending how many guests we have on the show, how many of you guys show up. You know, that could lengthen the show. So sometimes we just cut things on the fly in favor of just having more fun and banter
Oh,
on
okay,
stage
sure.
with things as well. So that could happen too. So, you know, and that always is at some point, if I go back during some sort of, maybe even if it's like a curtain call, I go back, there's a million people go, okay, what are we going to cut? We have no more time. We have no more time. And everyone has these lists and they're going to be like, pick one, you got to cut something. So I'm like, all right, that one, whatever. That's, you know, fine. But it's always a little different. We always go in a little, it's always a fluid situation. Let's put it that way.
Speaking of that, Michael, Lori G would like to know, are there any plans for future Lost concerts in the future after all of this gets better?
Yeah, there's always going to be a plan for that. I mean, I love doing the Lost concerts. They're so much fun to do, and fans come from all over the world. That's the thing that is incredible to me. That people come in, and we always spend a moment in the beginning kind of figuring out who's from where, and people fly in from South Africa, from Japan and China, different. I mean, I mean everywhere. It's amazing. So I'm always happy to do them. I mean, I always try to do at least one a year if I can. You know, everyone asks, when are you going to do a tour of them? I don't know. I'm going to do a tour. Tour is a lot of work, and I don't know if I'm up for that. But I know at least in LA we will do one a year, and then if I'm elsewhere and it fits in, like it was when we did Ireland, and we did one in London and Switzerland as well. So, but we'll do more. We'll do more for sure.
Excellent.
It'd be
what
fun to
was,
do one.
oh,
What I really want to do is one in Hawaii. We did one in Hawaii a long time ago,
Yeah.
but I would love to go back and do one there and have everyone go there. I think that would be a pretty fun thing to do.
I think I speak on behalf of everyone listening right now that we would all fly to Hawaii for that concert. So hopefully
Sounds good.
someday. Hopefully
Yeah.
someday. Jorge, Deirdre, sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name, would like to know, what is your favorite episode of Lost and why?
That's hard to pick for sure. It the pilot is just such a big deal for me, but I'm also very partial to Dave. That was kind of like the first, like that was like kind of like as far as like a Hurley episode that was just so heavy and so strong, and I love the whole emotional journey of that. That I'm really proud of that one.
Nice. Michael, do you have a favorite episode of the show?
Well, I mean, as Jorge says, the pilot is always very dear to me, just because it was the first one, and you're always kind of still figuring things out. And but I mean, I have such memories of recording that final episode that it's just I loved that final episode, those two-part episodes. And I thought I think that is just one of because it was a chance to kind of weave everything back in and bring it all together and kind of come full circle. And it was incredibly emotional being there that day. And, recording, it was very tough because you were saying goodbye to a lot of friends, that you would see on a regular basis, or, but that one, I think, at the end, I love it.
The score for the end gets us every single time. The collective us. I mean, you can't tear up without thinking about it when you're listening to that soundtrack. So good job.
Oh, well, thanks.
So Jorge, Lance M said that one of his favorite scenes that he and his mom watched together was when Hurley saved the day by driving the Dharma van into Zeke, into Mr. Friendly and the others. He wants to know, did you get any stunt training for that scene? And what was your reaction when you read that part of the script?
Fun. It's a mix of things, because there was like, oh, I have to drive that van again, which is because it's always like an old stick shift that you have to work with. But it was great because there wasn't a lot of danger in that scene, because as far as my part went, because when the van comes driving in, there's nobody there, and then they position the guy there and kind of like do a little cowboy switch and stuff on it to make it work. So it was just it wasn't that bad. I'm glad it all looks good when we finished.
It did. Good job. Of all of your backstories and
Actually,
your flash.
I love it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, speaking of the van, I love the scene with you and Charlie starting the van, and then when it goes into
Yeah.
Shambhala, like that to me, that is that's one of my favorite moments in the entire series.
Yeah, me too.
I just love
And
it.
you working Shambhala
Yes.
into the score was just really nice too.
So fun, man. Good stuff.
That's arguably the most fun scene on Lost, and it just brings such joy. The look on your faces when you're driving that van through the valley is amazing. Okay, Lori G. Jorge would like to know, out of all of your backstories and your Flash Sideways stories, what did you enjoy the most, and which did you enjoy the least, if you don't mind saying? Flashbacks, Flash Sideways, Flash Forwards.
Man, there's so many. Well, the Flashes. Well, okay, when Trish Tanaka is dead, after they blew up the Mr. Clux franchise that Hurley owned, it didn't even make it into the episode, but we're laying on the ground and we got shot with like a big like dust cannon, and then they just started like tossing raw chicken on top of us little by little, to
Oh my
kind of
God.
just indicate stuff coming back down from the sky, and it was around us, but a couple landed on me. That wasn't the most pleasant, I guess. I don't know. But I don't really have any complaints on it. Favorites? I mean, I don't know. There's so many. There were so many little bits. It's fun doing all the mental institution scenes because you get to be in your pajamas the whole day. I will say that.
Excellent.
Kind of like now.
Totally. I mean, who's wearing actual pants? Either of you?
Shorts.
You'll never know.
I accept that answer.
Yeah. Striped pants, striped shorts.
Oh, nice. Hurley.
Oh, you got
so
shoes
Stephanie,
on.
I know you have shoes on. That's impressive, Michael.
Sandals.
Okay. Stephanie B said, Hurley is one of the most likable characters that's ever been on TV. Jorge, you seem pretty great too. In what ways? Are you similar or different from Hugo Hurley Reyes?
Well, the great thing about Lost, at least what I kind of enjoyed about it in many ways, was we got very little information about what was coming up, where our characters came from, and any of that kind of business. So just as an actor, making things as personal as possible, I would fill in the blanks with as much of my personality as I could. I used to say that Hurley and I are very similar. I'm just a better speller because of BODYS back in the day. Like one of the first things he says, BODYS. So in that sense, I would probably beat Hurley in in a crossword puzzle competition, but I think our hearts come from the same place.
Absolutely. Michael, question about the music. You really seem to have fun labeling and titling the songs for each episode. Those of us who have, bought on iTunes or bought your CDs over the years have enjoyed. How did you come up with the titles for these different songs that you would create for the show?
Well, that started on Alias, actually, with my music editor, Stephen Davis, he and I have been working together since the first episode of Alias, and we still work together. But Steve would, Steve would have to assemble a cue, basically a spotting notes, which says how many cues are going to be in that episode, and then they have to have names for those cues. And he would just come up with the craziest names, because part of it was just, it's a lot of it's monotonous work. So he was just trying to find a way to make it fun. So all these names, and it just sort of got out of control. Then we all started doing it. And then it turned into like a competition between all of us. All right, who can come up with the best title for something? But I will say Steve normally won. He was great at it. So most of those on here are his. And, I'll say, she took my baby. Okay, that's not that great. Rubber Break, I don't know.
Isn't there one that's like Charlie Hangs Around or something like that?
There's all kinds of, yes, Charlie Hangs Around, exactly. No, yeah, some of them are very, off, dark in a way,
Dark.
I guess you would say. But yeah, it was really just out of a sense of fun. We're doing it, So yeah, that's how it is. Just to have fun.
Very nice. Okay, Jorge, here's a fun question. From Leanna H. Which was more fun to drive, the Dharma van on Lost or the Mustang on Alcatraz?
A lot of car questions.
Well, okay. It's a trick. That's tough because the Dharma van on Lost was fun to drive because I was in an open field, and I could, it was basically everyone was safe doing it. However, there was one take with the Mustang where I really got to let it go, and I really because like when you watch stunt drivers reset cars and go back to one with the cars, they are reckless. They drive full speed just to go a small amount of space because they are fearless. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to let it out a little bit, and that was kind of fun and made good motor noises. But I still gotta give the title to the van just because it was just everything around it was really fun.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay, this is a question that I'm going to ask Michael first. If you could pick only 3 characters on Lost to build a dream team to be on the island to hang out with, let's say during a quarantine, 3 Lost characters, who's on your team?
Jeez. Well.
No pressure, Hurley.
No, Hurley for sure. Because that would just be fun.
Okay.
We'd have a good time. No, because we have a good time. We would make board games. Let's see. Most of the other people are so screwed up. I'm not sure I'd want them there with me. Although, yeah, Claire went crazy. I mean, just like, let's see. Maybe Mr. Echo would be cool to have, I think. I'm just thinking of people that can help you out in a problem. You know what I mean? Like also, you want to try to diversify the team so that you have we've got fun, we've got someone who can deal with things and all of that. And I guess you need a doctor. Might be nice to have Jack, as long as he's not
Juliet
crying about. Juliet too. Yeah, that's true. Juliet. Actually, Juliet. Let's go there. There's Mr. Echo, Juliet, and Hurley. How's that? I
awesome.
like it.
All right, Jorge, it's your turn.
Well, okay, Charlie, Libby, and then Locke to, for survival and to keep things interesting.
Excellent answer. He's like the dad of that group.
Yeah, Charlie would be good too. Charlie's a good one too.
So Hurley, see, I did it again. I always do that. Sorry, Jorge. Bradley B would like to know, can you put into words what working in Lost was like for you as an actor? You appeared in the most episode of Lost that it must have been a tremendous privilege.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a point of pride when I saw that how that stat came up. Lost was the life-changing job for me. So it then became this kind of uh, the job that all jobs get compared to. Still is in many ways. The biggest thing I think about Lost though was getting to go do it over in Hawaii. Made it this thing that was just kind of you could find yourself being in a way convinced that this is just a little something I do with my friends out in the jungle, and it's not that big a deal until you'd come back to the mainland for some kind of event or something, and then you realize, oh, it's a pretty big crowd here tonight, or whatever, and then you're like, oh, we're kind of, I guess we're having more of an impact. Like that first summer, a lot of it's based on that first summer when we started shooting the series, and we were the only people we basically knew on the island. So in a sense, we had all were stuck on an island with each other, literally, and so we went to, usually it was the Fox's house because they had the biggest house with the most space to go hang out over the weekends even. And that was such a great bonding summer for the whole cast. And we were just kind of hanging out being like, I don't know if people can respond to it, but we know that we're doing something that's different. Like here's an episode that half of it's in Korean with subtitles and we're not dubbing it, things like that are happening. And we're kind of like, we know what we're doing is different and special, and hopefully the people respond to it. That's kind of what it always felt like.
They certainly did. Okay, so I'm going to hopefully pronounce his name right. Gazde, it's Gozde. That's his name. Would like to know, both of you, what was your fondest memory in 6 seasons and 6 years of the whole Lost experience? Both of you.
Wow.
Fondest memory.
Well, I mean, I always loved it when I got to go in and visit the sets and visit with everyone. That was always really fun. But I think one of my fondest memories is that very first Lost concert we did in Honolulu at the Bowl, and everyone was there. We were all a part of that, and we did readings and all kinds of things. I think that was one of the most special nights for me. Anyway, it was that night of that first concert there in Honolulu at the Bowl, or the Shell, as they call it, the Shell.
It's hard to pick one fondest memory. I can rattle off maybe a few just fond memories that I had though. When Michael and I are sitting on the log and we split a candy bar. And it's a whole series of beats of this, a look, he looks, I look, we went through a whole series of them. And we just kept honing it little by little and just kind of finding every moment to milk the most out of it. That was a blast. And we discovered after we finished, we had one more beat that we could have done and we totally missed it. And that still irks me a little bit. The scene when Ethan and Locke show up with like squirrels or something. There's some kind of animal that they brought to feed everybody with, and I was like, yum, that scene. And both Terry and I hadn't worked in a while, so we were kind of anxious to act. And so we started playing in takes a lot, which, made William have to work a little harder, and he had to focus and concentrate a little more because he kept getting weird line readings sent to him, like Jack would say, now do it like this, do it less menacing, do it more menacing, do it like a robot, do it like a space alien. And it was like that kind of crazy kind of direction almost. It was and just having that moment like, oh, and then finally him being like, come on guys, and I was like, oh, sorry. So we kind of like focused more, and that was much. The first upfronts, going to the first upfronts was amazing because I'd never been to an upfronts. And there's this part where they ushered all the talent from all the shows that they were going to be promoting and put them in this one room, which is kind of like this little like lounge bar area that we were all just hanging out. and we would watch the Unfud's presentation come up on the screens. And then our trailer came on, and we felt the room go, whoa. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's us. Because we were so much like, we felt like such freshmen, you know, because we're there like NYPD Blue is here. And like there's like shows that have been on for so while. And like they come on and they have this great little clip. And everyone in the room was like, wow, that looks pretty good. And feeling that was really special.
And Michael, your music obviously was featured in the pilot and it played there. And at what point after episode 1 of Lost aired, did you get a feeling this was going to be a huge hit and you're going to be writing music for a long time for this?
I don't know if you ever feel that way. You're always just, I mean, for when you're in the middle of these things, you're really only concerned with the next episode, you know? And if you happen to be an event, a press event or something like that, you get glimpses of what's happening, you know? But it wasn't until I see deep into the first season where I started realizing how much people loved this, you know, this show. And then concurrently as you go, I started doing concerts in different places, just not just Lost concerts, but I would throw in a Lost cue or something into a concert I was doing in Spain or something, and people would love that. And you start getting these reactions, and you're like, oh, this is actually bigger than I really ever thought it was. You know, you never though go, oh, I'm going to be doing this for a long time, because you're always just, you're hoping for that, but you dare not say it because you just jinx yourself. But I think the amount of time we had on that show was probably perfect. I don't know that we could have or should have gone any longer. I think it all worked out pretty well.
And in that same vein, Michael, do you see yourself writing again, should the opportunity present itself, for another series? I know that you've done a few since Lost, and now you're doing motion pictures. Not that you have any spare time, but can you see yourself doing another TV series?
Well, I mean, I guess all I would say is if the same people were involved as were involved the last time, I would look, you know, long and hard at doing it, because I love all those people so much. If it were just like a reboot, or were a bunch of other people are kind of taking their own spin-off way, well then I would happily watch it, but probably not be involved, I guess. So it really all depends on what it is and who's involved. Right.
Okay. Jorge, you knew this was coming. We have a numbers question for you. Albert F starts with 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. He said, my favorite number way before even watching Lost was 15. It has always meant a lot to me. Did any of the numbers mean anything to you prior to filming the show? And do any of them still hold significance for you now?
Well, 8 was always my favorite number in the 1 through 10. Like, pick a number 1 through 10. 8 was my go-to number for sure. That's it as far as the numbers go. I mean, like everyone else who, you know, fans of Lost, whenever something that is a number, like if 815 shows up anywhere, it does make a little ding moment for sure. But nothing beyond that.
Eric B would like to know, Jorge, what was your reaction to having your face on a Weezer album named after your character? For those that don't know, there's a Weezer album called Hurley. Your face is the reason I got into Weezer, so I think it's great how I love it. Yeah, he got into Weezer. I mean, yeah, that's pretty great. So because of you. So what was it like? What was that process like to be put on the cover?
That was crazy. I mean, that was, it was, when that news came up, it was during one of the worst days. It was like, my father had just passed away. Oh. And we're just sitting in this hotel and then I got this message that, Weezer wants to use your face for the cover of their record, and this is a mock-up of what it would look like, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this is like a moment of lightness and brightness that came into a pretty dark day for me. So I was like, oh, this is like, it's nice to have a moment of good news. So that was really cool. And then going to meet the band, and you know, I even like got to sing a couple songs at a couple of shows that they did with them and stuff. It was really kind of a fun little relationship when that CD came out.
That is very cool. Patricia N said, for many fans, the characters on Lost became welcome family members on screen as we got to know them over the years. We watched the show over and over, not just for the stories, but for the characters, and they've become our constant in troubled times, especially like these. Patricia would like to know, is there a show for either of you that does that for you, that gives you that sense of comfort or family? It could be a show that's on the air or already has aired.
Well, I mean, honestly, Lost does that in a way because, you know, I watched when it was on, I watched it when it would air. You know, we'd all get together and watch it. And then when my son was old enough to watch it, when he was 13, I watched it with him. Then my daughter, when she turned 13, I watched it with her. And then when my other son was 13, I watched it all with him. So, you know, it is a big part of our family gathering in a way that has it means a lot. So, I mean, I think, you know, as much as I love watching old episodes of Columbo and Starsky and Hutch and Hawaii Five-0, I have to say, in terms of just an emotional connection, this show had a huge impact on me.
You thinking?
I don't really have a show that feels like family to me. When I see shows that I've been on, there is this kind of thing that's like, oh, because it's more you remember like the day of those scenes, like you remember the stuff that it triggers that surrounded the shootings of those things. As far as Lost goes, there's a lot of shows I like to, and I think about revisiting, like Battlestar Galactica was a great journey of a show, but I don't feel like they're family.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Which season, Jorge, Carolyn S. would like to know, which overall season of Lost was your favorite to film?
Well, I think season one, it being so new and so unexpected and so much hard work, but it just kind of, you felt really good about it. It's always going to be like, I think, a special thing. And it was kind of like the first time that I really had like a job where it was like, this is what I do for a living. You know, it's like, I had a little bit of that in Becker, but then it got close to where I was going, oh no, am I gonna have to get a job again? Things like that, but everything worked out.
And you were definitely part of a lot of emotional touch points for people, especially the final season when Jack, you know, transfers the island over to you on the beach with realizing that Jin and Sun didn't make it out of the submarine. Do you go to a certain place in your mind? Uh-oh, what?
Oh man, when Jin and Sun didn't make it in the submarine. When we had to cry in the long shot. We're so far away. They just see us huddled together crying. And I just started laughing. And then I just started being like, it's so great because laughing looks like crying from far away. Laughing looks like crying. And that's just what we started doing. And it was that became a fun thing. There's little moments like that were kind of fun. There's a part when, this is when we're heading towards the Black Rock, I think it was. And it was a lot of walking in the rain stuff. And it's the rain stuff was this whole level of like, you get wet and you'd be cold, and then you'd go to the heater, which would just kind of like heat up the water that was drenching your clothes. And then you'd get hit with the rain again, and it'd be like when you jump from like a jacuzzi into the pool and get cold again. But yeah, I still think of this time when Evie was singing Rave On to Rain On when they said, right, get the rain on. And she just started being like, rain on, a crazy feeling. And that just made me laugh so hard.
Oh. Okay, great. This is a question actually for both of you that Karen M submitted, which is 10 years ago, we super fans, you know, the show ended 10 years ago. We continue to rewatch and discuss the show. And as a result, our thoughts about characters sometimes change and evolve. for you two, after 10 years, have your thoughts or feelings about the overall story or characters changed, or do you have the same exact emotional resonance and feeling?
I mean,
They don't
I
really
always,
change for me.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay.
No.
The for me they don't really change because I don't go back and revisit it that often. There's a few times I've been asked to do some rewatch podcasts and things like that, and I'll watch the given episode that they're going to discuss just so it's fresh in my mind. But most of the show for me is still kind of in the suspended animation of that moment then. At some point, maybe I'll go and let's take a look at this thing now, years down the line. But so it just kind of stays in its place where it is in my little past over there.
Yeah, I would agree. Michael? I would agree with that as well. I mean, I always, even after watching it with each of the kids, and but it always lands in the same place. It always just feels really good. I wouldn't change anything. It's you always look at stuff you did and wonder why you didn't do it better, but that's just life. And I feel like where the show ended, I loved it. I know there's some people that feel differently, but if life really were that way, if it turns out that life is actually that way, that's not so bad. That's pretty good. I like it.
I think people on this particular Zoom would tend to agree with you. I mean, the love of the show. These are people that are flying all over the world that would have been in Hawaii together. So they would have been crying in the church watching the finale together. So hopefully we can do that again some other time. Okay. Jorge, Mike B would like to know, when Hurley was in charge of the island, do you think Hurley killed and kidnapped people like Ben did?
He killed them with kindness.
Excellent.
Well, a long time ago, when they were coming up with possible origin stories for the characters, they kind of came up, different writers, and the first group of core writers when they first put the room together was, to assign characters and be like, come up with what their backstory is and stuff like that. And for Hurley, Javier told me that it was that he was a repo man, and that he found a way he could repossess items just by just talking to the guy. It was like he didn't have to involve much trickery. That was kind of what I got as far as from him. The Repo Man story ended up getting kind of scrapped, except there's a moment where Jack says that's what he does for a living when they're interrogating him after he got caught by the others. Because I was like, I don't know, because that apparently kept floating around in the writer's room. But that would inform me as to probably also the style of Hurley as the man in charge, like finding ways other than kidnapping to get what he wants.
Yeah, I don't see you being a killer per se.
No. Well, he did hit that guy with the van, though.
He did, yeah. Monty B, so Michael, I'll ask you first, would like to know, what is the one prop on set you wish you could have taken home with you forever?
Well, I mean, two things, probably. I would like to have had the door to the hatch, but someone else has that. And so I'm happy with my Virgin Mary over here, I guess. I should have taken the ceramic one, though. But
anyway. Yeah. Jorge, is there a prop you wish you would have taken?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe the guitar case with the Ankh would be a good one. Like cool. That big foam symbol inside the guitar case. Like I'd like to try to find something that Hurley touched. Right. Would be cool.
For the DVD extra scene, the man in charge. How long after the finale did you film that, or was that filmed concurrently when you were still filming season 6?
It was during the finale.
Okay.
It was just Yeah, something else that was added to the schedule on certain days where there was time.
Were you told it was for the extra, or do you think it was part of the show?
Yeah. No, no. I think we were informed that these are some kind of DVD extra epilogue things that there was like three short scenes, something like that. And
And was
yeah,
Malcolm David Kelly as tall as you by then?
not quite, but yeah, he had already grown up quite a bit.
Yeah. So Walter F. would like to know, Jorge, when you started your annual haunted house project on the island, did any or of your lost co-stars participate and come into the haunted house?
Um, you mean just to come check it out, to come
Yeah.
walk through it? I invited some people because there were a few that were still in Hawaii. Um, I think only Henry and Cusick's wife and his kids went through. I think that was kind of it as far as like Lost alum.
Okay. Um, so you worked with, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the woman who played your mother, Carmen. But Tia would like to know, did you have a lot of bloopers or ad libs when she was screaming at you? Because these were amazing scenes you had with Jorge's mom, with Hurley's mom.
Um, the she she was a little free with the line sometimes for sure. I don't know if we had any like real bloopers during the time. It was just it was pretty. It just kind of like you just kind of went with it, and they turned out pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So I'm getting through the questions here from everyone. Thanks for your patience. Michael Giacchino, Jennifer M is asking, have you ever used the numbers in the lottery in real life?
In the lottery? No, I haven't actually used them in the lottery. I'm sad to say. I've ever actually used them in anything. They are carved somewhere on the property on the side of the office somewhere. And there's little things like that, little Easter eggs around, but I never used them in any practical sense. Maybe I
What about
should.
you, Jorge? Did you
Oh
ever
wait,
play them?
Lillian Hurst. I was like, I was like, oh yeah, and then yeah, I just want to make sure we mentioned her by name. The I once did a photo shoot for some magazine. Not sure which one it was. I think it might have been Stuff magazine. I'm not positive though. But somewhere they one of the things they had was like, why don't we fill out the lottery numbers in like the California Lotto so I could like hold the ticket with the numbers on it and it's part of the photo shoot. That's the only time I actually played the numbers technically.
Because the numbers are bad,
The
as
numbers
you
are
know.
bad.
Okay, so this is a question for both of you that Jeff R had submitted. What is your favorite part of the actual real world? Like, are you a beach person, mountains, desert, or islands?
Oh, uh, I love tropical.
Yeah, me too. I like islands.
Yeah.
Well, that's fitting for you guys both. Okay, so my next question
Yeah,
is,
it's like when there was like some kind of like personality test where you're supposed to pick locations where you'd want to quarantine. There was like a cabin in the mountain. There's one of those tiki huts that's in the middle of the water on posts. And I don't remember what the third one was, but I'd already picked that one.
Yeah, I would have stopped there too. Same.
Jorge, what was your favorite location to film on Oahu in all 6 years?
To be honest, it was the studio because they built amazing sets in there. And so whenever I came into work, I'd go and find the dark portions of the stage and see like all the different like they had a ton of like Indiana Jones walls, a lot of walls that have like hieroglyphs carved into them and like secret doors and all kinds of things that I was just kind of go and poke around and see what the different sets were. Like I didn't get scenes in a lot of those sets, but I just kind of went and walked around or like going through like rooms that are technically frozen and all that kind of stuff. That I enjoyed a lot. And then there's similar to that was also when we'd go to the bird sanctuary place that was where the others' cages were, and the Hydra station was there. Wait, the Hydra? What's the one that was like the greenhouse?
Hydra Island.
No, not.
The
No,
one that was the
Hydra.
greenhouse.
Hydra was at the studio. The greenhouse was what?
Oh, the orchid.
Everybody.
Orchid,
Oh, the orchid.
yeah.
Yeah, over the orchid,
Yeah.
because that's also where the temple was. And the temple, this would be a thing. It's technically not a prop, but a set piece or a series of set pieces. But outside the temple, there were two foam carvings that were made to look like stone of kind of, kind of like Hindu-ish looking gods. And they were great because they were like in ruins. So it'd be like the hands together, but this part of the arm is missing. So like you see the hand and there's a gap here. Just the way they aged them and kind of ruined them a little bit looks so cool. And those two statues would be great.
Michael actually donated a piece of the styrofoam piece of the temple to Cancer Gets Lost, and we just auctioned it off and made several $100s on that. So thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a big chunk, a big corner of the temple I took home with me from there one time. Just big giant chunk of styrofoam, but it was painted. It looked beautiful, like you were saying with the statues.
And
But,
you'll love this. The guy who won it lives in a tiny apartment in San Francisco, and his wife was like, "I'm sorry, what is this now? It's just a giant."
Hopefully, that will turn it into a coffee table. It'll work out fine. Don't worry.
Well, before we let you go, by the way, and thank you so much for your time, both of you, we have kind of a deep question from Chris L., who has said, of everything that Lost has offered, what do you believe that the legacy of Lost is in terms of the positive effect it's had on people in this world? Getting deep.
You want to go first?
No.
I mean,
one?
I would think that
Got one I can piggyback?
for me, it's about the ability to. I was gonna say, I think for me, it's about the ability to, to see the possibility of redemption in others, and other people, and to really realize that no one is one-dimensional. Everyone has sides to them we don't ever get to see. And I thought the show was really wonderful at showing that people and humans are far more than the way they might act out. And if you just have some patience, and you might get to know someone a little deeper than you're inclined to do. So there's a sort of a beautiful side of the show which I loved in terms of that, how we relate to each other.
That's good, actually. Yeah, it's like kind of the way that Lost kind of has this sense of kind of like you don't know someone until you walk a mile in their shoes kind of thing. Like you don't know what is going on in their heads and in their intentions and in their life. There's this thing in like how it's in like psychology, we think that every decision we make is due to external factors. Like, it's like I'm driving slowly in traffic right now because the car in front of me is driving slowly in traffic right now, or because my car isn't that great. And the guy in front of me, though, he's driving slow because he's just being a jerk. There's that's just kind of how like people think about the world. And yeah, for sure. That's a great point. I think that's pretty good. And I'm going to have to steal that for myself as well. That's kind of Lost does kind of show you that you don't necessarily know people as to why they do certain things, and having that kind of open mind and empathy that maybe they have their reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Well, Michael, I know you have to go soon.
Mine just petered out there. I didn't really have a finish on it.
That's okay. It was a great answer. Michael, before you go, is there any nonprofit or charity you'd like to highlight for the fans right now that maybe is supporting COVID-19 health or human services? Obviously, there's so many out there right now, and we're just giving them an opportunity to maybe promote one that's close to their heart.
Well, there's a couple I think are great. The Actors Fund and Broadway Cares is a big one. Broadway's been, decimated by this thing, and that's a huge, huge, huge. And that not just the actors, but everyone that works those sets, everyone that builds those things, all the musicians that play on those shows. It's just all across our industry. It's been tough, but those are two great ones that kind of get money to the right people. Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll make sure and share a link with the lost attendees afterward. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And thank you so much for joining us. What a treat.
Yeah, happy to be here. All righty. So I will just sign off here.
It's good to see you.
All right, so when I come to Hawaii and we do a concert, you all have to come. You too, Jorge.
Done.
And
Okay.
Jorge, please, as soon as this is done, let's Fireball Island, okay?
Totally.
Yep. All right.
If only
We'll
there's
talk
a way.
later. Bye.
Jorge, if you have more
We can
time,
do it
we'll
online.
take more questions. You have time,
No
Jorge, for a
problem.
few more questions?
Yeah, what am I doing? It's plenty.
So, yeah, that's true. So there's actually another Alcatraz question. A lot of us were huge fans of the show. One season, such a shame. John H. would like to know, what is the big secret that we never got to see when the series was canceled? Can you tell us any secrets about Alcatraz?
Yeah, it's tough now it's been a while, but there definitely was a thing about man, there was more of this time travel stuff that I'm sorry, I don't know, but there's definitely more people who jumped from time from other time periods as well that was going to be coming up as well, like beyond just how it was kind of, it was kind of like there was this period here where everyone was first at the Alcatraz before everyone disappeared, or around the time when everyone disappeared, and then the modern day. And then there was other stuff that was going to go further back into like Civil War gold and stuff, I think.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. There was something along those lines that there was like, but a lot of it was just still, this is my little squeezy pumpkin thing for, there's a lot of like, there was a lot of stuff that was just still kind of, in a sense, ideas that were flowing around, and because nothing is really, it means anything until it shows up in the script. So
Right.
It was just kind of like general mythology ideas. I'm not the one to ask. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think we all have our theories anyway. It's all good. Going back to Lost a little bit, and actually your career, Lee W. would like to know, you've made an impact on the lives of a lot of your fans. Do you have any stories about how a fan or fans have had a positive influence on your life?
Well, look, part of what makes an actor become an actor is a certain need for positive feedback for whatever reason. There's a reason why you go into a job where people applaud you. And so in that sense, anytime that I've heard stories for sure of how the show has touched people, I'm so grateful that they shared that, because it's very easy to kind of think that what you do isn't important. And I don't mean to say what I do is very important either, but because of this little thing of just me doing my little play my piano, sing my little song business, that helped people overseas get through being, stationed in a war and things like that. I was like, wow, that let them think about something else for a while was a big deal for me. And anytime people shared with me that kind of thing, there's people who've been very, very kind to me. I've gotten many invitations to come to dinner at people's houses and stuff like that, and I'm touched by all that. I don't really have the guts to take them up on it, but it's still very touching that people want to open up their homes to me.
I mean, I would say that, especially now, it's such an interesting, challenging time for people that people are rediscovering the show or discovering it for the first time. I know you're not on social media much, but are you hearing from new generations of fans and new types of fans that have discovered the show and find it to be a comfort?
It's interesting. It is really interesting hearing about people who are new to the show and watching the show. Actually, who just, I don't know if they're done yet, but it was going through Lost, is Damon's son.
Oh, wow.
I ran into Damon Lindelof at an airport, and he introduced me to his son, who is very grown up now. He's in his teens, and he just started going through the show. And when he says he's like, I think he was already like on season 6 when I met him, and it was kind of cool kind of to see that. It's kind of like him showing his, kind of like what Michael was talking about. You just kind of show to their kids when they're at a certain age and stuff. Yeah, that surprised me every time that someone's new to the show, because I'm still so used to the idea of shows being, I mean, I do it, but it is weird when I hear someone else doing it with something I'm involved in. Because like I'm just so used to that show being something that happened, 10 plus years ago, who knows?
Right.
And kind of like people are newly discovering it. There was, someone showed me there was a social media post with one of the women who worked on the haunted houses with us. Her daughter was one of the original baby Aarons.
No way.
And she posted recently a video, because she's now watching the show, and she recently posted a video or a series of pictures of her now as an older kid recreating the scene where I put baby Aaron in the laundry basket. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Time flies. I mean, she must be 15, 16 years old then by now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, somewhere there.
That's so great. We have a few more questions here. Kelly H would like to know, if you had to go back and relive the filming of one scene, what scene would it be to relive the filming of? Not the chicken being thrown on you or the arts getting on you maybe, but others.
No, it's kissing Libby at the top of the cliff, probably.
Amazing answer. Okay, on the other side of the coin, she said, what scene would you not want to relive?
I don't know.
I think you enjoyed all of them for the most part.
They're pretty good. Maybe cannonballing into the ocean in full clothes. Everything gets wet. It's like there's a moment when you can deal with having a wet shirt, having wet pants, but the moment it soaks into your underwear, the ruined. Like I started like trying to plan ahead or pack a pair of underwear to go home in, things like that.
How many times did you have to film the scene where you jumped in the water?
Not that many times. The big jump was actually a stunt double, and then I did other jumps. There was versions of jumps where I was like, basically they had a ladder in the middle of the water in the beach, and I'd climb up that ladder because they wanted like a full clean, like me jumping over the camera kind of stuff. And so I'd jump off a ladder and cannonball right into the beach. Listen, getting wet at the beach is awesome and it's fun, but when you're in full clothes, it just becomes a drag real fast. Because I think I even had shoes on. I had like shoes and socks on.
That's fair. Oh man, before we let you go, where can fans find you next? I know that obviously filming is halted right now due to the pandemic, but is there anything you had already finished filming that's either out that people can find streaming or can find in the theaters again someday?
Well, keep an eye out for Nobody Knows I'm Here, which is it's a movie I made in Chile, so it's in Spanish with subtitles. So it does require some reading. But I think maybe late summer it should hit Netflix. It's I think it just premiered in Chile, and I believe there's like some kind of like agreement where like 2 or 3 months later that it should end up in Netflix on it. So it will show up there. It just it was supposed to play at Tribeca, and obviously that kind of ended. But the guy who directed it got best new narrative director in it. So I'm really proud of him. Really excited. This was a really great creative experience. So keep an eye on it. It's called Nobody Knows I'm Here, and it should resurface, I believe, before the end of the summer.
Awesome. And then are there any COVID-19 related charities or nonprofits that are helping Health and Human Services that you'd like to point out for the fans?
Well, I love World Central Kitchen, and I'm also a big proponent of supporting your local food bank wherever you are. Like I support the LA one, the just because that's a big problem a lot of people are having. There's that the company that crooked.com, they have a really good, because like there's so many places that you feel like you want to help and you don't know where to go. And crooked.com created a coronavirus fund where basically they spread your donations around to a lot of different coronavirus COVID charities. So like that's pretty good for the people who are in that kind of indecision as to, I don't know what the best, where my money would be best. It just kind of like just gives a little bit to everybody in a way.
And it's cricket.com?
Crooked.com, I think
Crooked.
it's Crooked Media. It's under their banner.
Okay.
And if you go there, they have like a little like coronavirus relief fund donation thing.
Okay. We'll make sure to share the link. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is such a treat. Kelly, thank you for organizing. And on behalf of myself, Kelly, and the Lost 2020 attendees, we so appreciate your time. We hope that you are doing okay during this whole stay-at-home thing. And, we will definitely be seeing you again. And, may the force be with you.
Thank you for moderating. This was a lot of fun. And it was great to kind of like talk about something else that's not, disease.
Absolutely. We'll talk again soon. Have a great day, and all the big hugs to your wife.
Thank you.